Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. We apologize. We were having a bit of technical difficulty, but we're ready to roll. I'm Patricia Capella, Conference Manager for Clarion UX Food and Beverage Trade Shows, which produces several industry events and conferences. As we know, our industry is getting hit hard, and we are doing everything we can to provide you with resources and education in hopes that this helps provide you with the tools to survive and maneuver during these uncertain times. Joining us today is Chef Maria Ibrahim, founder of eCleaner, also known as the Fit Foodie. Maria has been a featured speaker at all of our shows and also our center stage MC. We are happy to have her with us today to provide us with important information on turning lemons into lemonade, increasing consumer confidence and building new sales opportunities. Just a few housekeeping notes before the presentation begins. All audience members are on listen-only mode, which means you are muted. We will be monitoring audience engagement on the dashboard and do encourage you to participate by using the question pane. There will be time for questions and answers at the end of the session. And this webinar, as well as others in our series, will be made available on our website in the coming week. Now, without further delay, let me turn the program over to Maria. Maria?
Thank you, Patricia, and hi, everybody. I really apologize for the delay. That was my fault. And turning lemons into lemonade means sometimes having to think on a dime. So you are watching a PDF file because we couldn't get the PowerPoint to work. So today I'd really like to talk to you about how we can increase consumer confidence and build new opportunities during this unprecedented time. And as a business owner, I can tell you that I have had to pivot and change direction many, many times in my time as an entrepreneur over the last 12 years. And it's not easy, and it can be very painful, and it can be very scary. But I will say that some of the decisions that I was sort of forced into have turned out to be some of the best things that I've done for my business. So as you come away from this, hopefully you'll be inspired by some new ideas and know that while it may seem like the lowest of the low, we can come out of this with maybe something even better than we had before. So COVID-19 is forcing us to change, and I was watching a movie yesterday with my new husband, who had no idea that we'd be spending our honeymoon in quarantine, but that's a great way to get to know your spouse, isn't it? And we were watching these people interact with each other and hugging each other, and I was so startled. It's amazing how in just such a short period of time, the act of touching just seems so criminal. And it's so crazy as people who are, I'm Middle Eastern, you have to greet people with 2 kisses on each cheek. So just like our habits are changing in our personal lives, our food safety habits and how we do business have to change too. There's a new normal that's being created before our very eyes, and it's a moving target, and it requires us to be agile and to be open and to be understanding that the way we had things planned isn't necessarily the way it's going to turn out. Companies are in distress, they're hurting, and it breaks my heart to see some of these pictures right now of the Vegas Strip, for example, restaurants that have had to shutter their doors because their business model, for whatever reason, didn't allow them to change. It's affecting farmers and distributors and caterers and people who do live events. In fact, I just saw a photo of the Javits Center, the place where Clarion Events just put on their last trade show in New York, and it's now basically a military-style tent hospital for patients. It's unimaginable. And for those of you out there that are listening that are suffering or are feeling the impact, my heart goes out to you. Just know that while the ideas that we're going to discuss today are not panacea for everybody, hopefully it does inspire you. And I want this presentation to be about positivity, so we're going to focus on that. good is happening everywhere. It's pretty heartwarming. And I've just felt like it's kind of a special time in how people are reaching out and connecting to each other. I found this gentleman on LinkedIn. His name is Tosh Elwin. He's the president and CEO of a financial services company. He is not a food service guy. And he woke up on a Saturday morning recently and he said he had a crazy idea that he should do a pop-up backyard pizzeria and wanted to create pizzas and offer bottles of wine for his neighbors. And so he did that. He went to the local store, bought as much pepperoni and dough balls and wine that he could, and invited his neighbors to come over and pick up their pizzas curbside and encourage them to donate money to the St. Petersburg Free Clinic in Florida. So you hear about a story like this and you just think to yourself, wow, that's my neighbor. That's somebody that isn't even in the food industry coming up with these comforting ideas. And I know that we can do the same because we're creative and agile people in our industry too. Companies that can afford to are giving back. And this is also just a really reassuring sign to me and hopefully to you that there is hope. Publix Supermarkets, for example, in Florida says that it will offer rent relief to businesses that rent space in the shopping center that the grocery stores owns throughout the Southeast. Burberry, which is not in the food industry, but is helping the food industry, has transformed its trench coat factory into making supplies like surgical gowns. And even the Gap is using its factories for masks and gowns and scrubs for healthcare workers. So we're seeing people step up and do what they can to help the community and to help their employees. Even the CEO of Vail Resorts gave $2.5 million to help coronavirus impacted workers throughout the high country in Colorado, where I grew up, which is really reassuring to see, to help coronavirus impacted workers and the communities that have been affected. And in food service, we're seeing places like Starbucks and Chipotle and McDonald's step up to the plate. Starbucks said this week it would pay employees an additional $3 an hour through April 19th, in addition to paying them catastrophe pay even when they can't come in for their shifts. Starbucks is even giving up their cafes for workers and volunteers to sew masks for the community. And they're giving free coffee to first responders and healthcare workers. Chipotle is boosting hourly pay by 10% for the next couple of weeks and enhancing benefits for their employees, because employees are scared and they are on the front line in many cases of interacting with consumers. DoorDash is donating 1 million sets of free hand sanitizer and gloves to their Dashers and Caviar couriers. And they're also joining forces with community organizations to deliver an estimated 1 million pounds of groceries and prepared foods through the United Way. And companies are pivoting. We are a creative bunch and we will persevere, but we have to shift, we have to change, at least for the near future. Social distancing has required this, and malls, restaurants, everywhere you look, they're posting their new policies about curbside delivery and takeout. I've been amazed to see just how agile and nimble the food industry has been in national commercials, where different chains are promoting the fact that they have curbside delivery and pickup right now. It's pretty amazing how quickly we can work when the pressure's on. Wegmans grocery stores are doing delivery and curbside pickup with groceries in as little as 1 hour. Applebee's to go. And this made me chuckle. You can even get your weed curbside, folks. So I don't know if you're craving a brownie, but they'll bring it to your window. All joking aside, everybody is pushing the gas on curbside and delivery. And we're seeing delivery companies really step up to the plate too. You've got GrubHub that added 4 times the number of restaurants in one day that it would normally add in a whole year. You've got technology companies that are stepping up and trying to create systems for restaurants and other food service companies that are in need of that technical assistance. So if this is something that you can do for your business, there are services there that can help you, enable you to be able to turn on a dime. Businesses are also making a statement. This kind of made me chuckle, but a brew business here in Orange County, California, created these T-shirts and sweatshirts to be able to support the local brewing community. And when you buy the T-shirts for $24.99 or the hoodies for $49.99, you get free shipping, and you can also donate to the Orange County Brewers Guild. I thought it was kind of funny that their hashtag was Corona Sucks when they're all about local brewing. Might be a little bit of a jab, but you get the message. They are trying to do what they can to help the community and also maybe put a little smile on their face. Restaurants are offering expanded options like we've never seen before. Also in the Orange County area, a restaurant called Farmhouse, which is part of a very successful outdoor kind of like nursery, I guess you could call them, called Rogers Gardens, where they are well established in the community, do high-end dinners. They're now turning their facility into kind of a market of sorts where you can shop for fresh produce. You can take a produce box home with you that has fresh eggs and produce from the purveyors that they buy from for their restaurant. They also have take and make pizza kits for kids, which I think is really clever because it gets the kids involved in the kitchen, which is something that I teach and advocate for all the time. And they even have cocktails to go. You know, the bar is the most profitable part of their restaurant and many other restaurants. And we're going to talk about cocktails a little bit later in the presentation, but many states are seeing the state laws lean a little bit to allow them to prepare cocktails and to offer wine to go where they normally wouldn't be able to do that. So this is an example where a company like a restaurant is doing a lot of things for their customers beyond just a takeout meal. Even Michelin star restaurants are doing takeout, guys. It's not just for the chains or for the mom and pops right now. Blue Hill at Stone Barns, Dan Barber, who happens to be one of my favorite chefs in the whole country, is getting pretty darn creative with a hot pot meal, which is very clever also because it's very much a comfort meal. And you get the ingredients all beautifully packaged in individual little containers because he wants you to duplicate the experience that you would have in his Michelin star restaurant at home. And listen to this. In this hot pot, he has julienne vegetables, foraged pesto, strips of pastrami made with grass-fed beef, braised endive, sauerkraut, boiled potatoes, boiled eggs, all neatly marked and stored in individual cups. I mean, he has spared no expense and no attention to detail in this. And when you order this assemble your own hot pot, you even get little extra touches, unexpected touches that he wants you to have to feel better, like rice pudding for dessert and Hudson Valley apples and eggs from their farm for the next morning. Imagine how that makes a customer feel when they bring that home. There's so much value in that. Dominique Crenn of Atelier Crenn, who has been one of our speakers at the Clarion events, is also getting on board along with 15 other restaurants in the San Francisco Bay Area alone. And her take-home meal is all vegetarian. As a restaurant, they made a decision to create a vegetarian tasting menu. And so you can, again, bring a little bit of that 3 Michelin star restaurant to chez vous, which is your home. And I love this little box of sushi. How gorgeous is that? It's like a little gift box that you can take home. Michelin star chefs are also feeding the homeless. Chef Rasmus Monk of The Alchemist in Denmark took his first love, which was his charity called Junk Food, where he's feeding the community, and took his 2 Michelin star restaurant that he normally serves about 60 meals a day, 60 people a day to 600, and is serving the community with his restaurant. And it's pretty amazing to see how that's bringing the community in and also bringing his staff and team in on it as well. And I love this so much because Massimo Bottura of the #1 restaurant in the world, Osteria Francescana, in the very hard hit Italy, is doing what he can. He is not serving meals right now, but he is paying his 100 employees to stay on staff, and he is creating live videos from his kitchen with his family called Kitchen Quarantine. And in this series, he literally goes into his refrigerator and shows you what he's making with his wife, who's also his co-entrepreneur in his business, and his 2 kids. So the realness of what a 3 Michelin star, probably the most esteemed chef in the world right now, can do in his home kitchen and bringing it to you at home is pretty darn endearing. And I love that they sometimes cook in their pajamas. So sharing what we've seen in the community and some additional ideas that I've brainstormed for you, I want to bring to you what you can potentially do to pivot in your business as well. And if you are a restaurant, or you're a distributor, or maybe you are in another capacity in the food service industry, you might take some of these ideas, and even if you can't implement them, bring them to your colleagues, because as a community, I know we can do that to build each other up. So people, and I apologize for this being slightly cut off, we'll make sure that you get the full presentation so that you can flip through it at your leisure after we're done. But people are looking for assurance. They're looking for assurance that you are taking the proper steps to protect the food that they're about to eat. And it's really, really, really critical that you do that for the community. Currently, according to the FDA and the CDC, there's no evidence that food itself is transmitting COVID-19. However, and I know this is kind of harsh to see, but fecal matter and saliva and sneezing or coughing on food can transmit the virus. So, of course, hand washing is a gimme, but sanitizing like you've never sanitized before is really important. And communicating what you're doing at your establishment to your customers is critical. They need to know. So the #1 thing that I would say to get going is to step up your food safety protocols. And for many establishments, you might have a manager on duty that is food safety certified. It's really, really critical that you do a refresher course with everybody that's touching food on the line and serving it. Whether they're standing at curbside and handing a package to somebody, or they're delivering it on your behalf. You can also post signs at your establishment to reinforce the messaging and the steps that you're taking. I know that I have gone to try and support places in my community and really appreciate when I see that they've posted that. As somebody that lives and breathes the food safety industry, that's really, really important. And I've actually walked out of a couple of places where I didn't see people using masks and gloves. Sanitizing contact surfaces vigilantly. I read that Dan Barber is taking 10 minutes to check in each and every employee that he has in order to make sure that they are properly hand washed and sanitized, and that he actually talks to them and makes sure that they feel better. He says it's literally an interaction with them where they check in, is anybody at home not feeling well, for example, and then they wipe down the bags, they wipe down computers, they wipe down cell phones, they have a makeshift changing room. I mean, it's intense. And they also keep people 6 feet apart and wipe surfaces constantly during the cooking process, but it's necessary. And those extra steps will protect your reputation as an establishment, and it will protect your guests and your employees. We're hearing about walkouts right now, Instacart and Amazon, where people don't feel protected, and your employees are your front line, and it's so critical to avoid turnover right now. So making sure that they feel protected and taken care of during this time is that much more important. I will also say, and this is a shameless plug for my company, it's the only one that I'm going to give you, so rest assured you won't hear about it again unless you want to. But there is no kill step when you are processing fresh produce that is uncooked. So anything that you're doing, offering that's uncooked, needs to be handled with that much extra care. We created a full line of food safety products for fresh produce that removes the fatty and oily barrier of a virus, for example. It hasn't been tested on coronavirus specifically, but it has on many other viruses and bacteria. And it's very effective in chelating that residue that water can't. So when you're processing your fruits and vegetables, make sure that they're washed properly. Water is not going to cut it. And there are some things circulating around the internet right now about using warm water and soap. Please don't do that. Soap is not food grade most of the time, and you can actually make people sick if you use it and they're ingesting that residue. And Eat Cleaner is all food safe. People want comfort foods and treats, and we're getting that cue from five-star, 3 Michelin star restaurants, and we're getting it from hometown local purveyors also. So things like lasagna and meatloaf and mashed potatoes and roast beef and casseroles and fresh baked goodies and ice cream and apple pie, just like mom makes. People are looking for that little bite of comfort to feel reassured, to connect with something that they understand, a memory that makes them feel good. And I read about a chef in the Chicago area, Chef TJ Steele, who also has a Michelin star restaurant called Claro. And he has a pretty complex menu, as many Michelin stars do. It's about the experience of going to the place. But he swapped out things like, tuna tostada, which is served in 10 different dishes to assemble, to homey things like baked chicken, because that's what people want and need, and it's easier to deliver. So do that, create these one pan and take and bake meals that your customers can finish off at home. And if you think like the meal kit delivery companies, you'll understand that this can actually help to lighten the load on preparation in your restaurant or establishment or your catering company, if that's what you're doing right now. So delivering things that can be either assembled in that person's home, or a one-pan meal that all they have to do is put it in the oven and bake it for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever it is going to make it really easy for your customer to take and bake. offering even par-baked goods. You know, you could do a par-baked bread or rolls where people finish it off at home. You could do muffins where people can bake them off the next morning. And this gives people also some sense of pride in that maybe they haven't made it all themselves, but they've finished it at home and they get to enjoy it nice and hot and fresh. And you don't have to worry about food getting delivered at the temperature that you require it to. As a promotion, you might want to do a buy 3, get 1 free. People are stocking up. They want to fill their freezer, and they also want to share meals with the people that they love. So giving them an incentive to buy multiples will increase your ring, and at the same time give your end user or your consumer a little bit more comfort knowing that their refrigerator is stocked and they've gotten a good value for that. I thought this would be fun too, just taking a cue from Massimo, is what if you also gave your customers a recipe that they could make with you and you go live and you show them how to do it? Or one of your meal kits is all of the different ingredients, then they can cook it with you. As a chef, this is something that I do a lot, and the engagement is amazing. And Facebook Live, and we'll talk about social media's role in just a few minutes, but Facebook Live really gives a lot of preference to a live session versus a pre-recorded or a shared session from YouTube, for example. If you do it live, you'll get a lot more engagement. So just a fun way to connect with your customers and with potential new customers that are looking for something to do. They want to cook and they want to create, and you're showing them how to do it, and they're going to remember that for a long time. People are also looking for healthy options. We're seeing a lot of chefs that are showing how to eat clean and how to boost your immunity naturally. It's very important in our own individual journeys of health, and not just our physical health, but our mental health, to boost ourselves. And getting the proper micronutrients, showing people how to stay healthy with foods that are rich in antioxidants, vitamin C, protein, things like that, that help to support healthy hormones is really critical. And I just did one last week on how to cleanse naturally and had great engagement, and people were commenting just how helpful it was because they felt like, you know, ways to help improve their own health at home when they might feel like kind of a sitting duck right now. And hand washing on its own is not necessarily enough. You know, this is really almost like a PSA for people. So how about increasing every check with healthy extras, giving them some bite-sized desserts to enjoy and offering that for an extra $3 or $5, having some delicious healthy sides to complement that baked chicken or that casserole that they're going to be making at home. And those side dishes could even be used for the meal the next day. Making smoothies and offering those in plastic sealed containers that they can have with their meal. And taking a cue from Chipotle. Do you want a side order of guac or hummus? You know, all those little things are going to increase the check size, and every dollar counts right now. And making it healthy just shows your customers that you care. And maybe even some things that are not so healthy, but just little bites of indulgence that go a long way. People want to connect and feel better. Social distancing might be a reality, but you can help them to stay close in other ways. You know, we haven't stopped celebrating anniversaries and birthdays, and we haven't stopped wanting to see the people that we love, and we haven't stopped wanting to feel special and romantic. And you can help people get in that place. And what better way to do it than making it boozy? I hope you're chuckling right now. But just like a Farmhouse is doing in Newport Beach and many, many other places, how about a cocktail kit that people can shake and make at home? I personally have been jonesing for my own very favorite old fashioned from a local restaurant, and I'm praying that they give me the recipe. I've asked them for it already, by the way. Offering wine bottles. And again, that's a great way to be able to up your per customer check too. And you can curate those bottles and offer different selections to complement the different meals that you're creating. Theme drinks. I've seen some recipes for quarantinis around, but maybe you have your own that you want to make. You know, people are looking to laugh a little bit. Give them a little humor, make them feel fun and special, and know that they can only get that drink from your establishment. Shake and make carside. I thought it would be fun to set up a bar as people pull up to wait for their meals. Maybe you've got your amazing bartender, of course, with gloves and a mask, that's making drinks as they wait to pick up their meal. And as long as it's served in a sealed container with no straw hole, many states are allowing this. So make sure you check with your local state regulations. But it's just another little fun way to make your establishment memorable and make some memories for your customers. Make their day or night. Nobody is going anywhere these days, and a lot of people have had to cancel vacations that they've been planning maybe for months, even years. It's really heartbreaking, but you can give them a little bit of relief by creating an armchair traveler experience. What if they get to go to Marrakesh tonight with a meal inspired by, you know, by Morocco, by the flavors of Tunis, by, you know, just a romantic night in Paris, going to the French Riviera, or maybe an exotic trip to India or Thailand. If you already are a themed restaurant, then maybe educate your customers on the dishes that you're making and what makes them special. Maybe you're making a family dish with a recipe that you have been making in your family for generations. Share that, share pictures, bring people to you in a way that maybe you've never brought to you before. A box lunch, you know, people are looking to escape, and as long as you're keeping your social distancing, I've seen people set up picnics in parks. I've seen people take a drive and go to their favorite little lookout destination, creating a box lunch that they can just pick up along with maybe a picnic blanket and wine, or even branded wine glasses. There are a lot of companies out there that will brand your, if you're not doing this already, I know a lot of you probably are, but they will put your brand on just about anything. So creating a little box lunch with these extras, these durable goods that add to your bottom line, are something that they'll not only use right now, but they'll continue using it, and always think about your establishment when they do. Sunday night supper, family theme night with a board game. Man, we have not played so many board games in my family since this happened. We've pulled out Sorry, we've pulled out Monopoly, chess, checkers, you name it, we've done it. We've played so many different card games, it's amazing. So if you kind of create an experience with a Sunday night supper, do that roast chicken with all the fixins, and then offer a board game to go with it, you're giving your customers one less thing to think about, and you're telling them this is what you're going to do to entertain yourselves tonight. And people are looking for ideas, trust me. Now, I had on here originally romantic theme, but I think the term right now is Netflix and chill. So how about candles, wine, and movie suggestions to go along with the meal that they're picking up? You can curate a list of romantic films. There's a lot of resources out there. Shoot, I could even share some with you that you can print or email to people to give them some ideas of what they can do to Netflix and chill. And then a celebration in a box. Like I said, people are still celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and momentous events. People are having babies. Yes, hospitals. I have a good friend who just had a baby yesterday. So being able to give people a meal with all of the other little add-ons so that you can spare them the stop of several different restaurants is something that you can take a pre-order on so you can properly prepare for it. But they will just look at you as that extra lending hand that goes just such a far way in earning their trust and loyalty. Another way to help with this is increasing trial. You know, now more than ever, I think we are all looking for ways to get people what they need, but also to get them to come to our establishments and use our products as often as possible. And we can take a cue from cafes that do a good job of this, but a frequent eater card or a loyalty program where every time they check in with you, they're getting points. And maybe you double down on those points right now so that they can use them immediately. Give it a shorter compressed window where they earn those loyalty points and get to use them at your establishment. You know, Instagram used to be full of people's meals at restaurants. Well, what about a photo contest to boost engagement? Maybe they're still ordering from your establishment and they're taking pictures in their own home setting and they're tagging you so that you get that social media engagement, and at the same time, you're encouraging them with a contest, and maybe you're giving them a gift card, you know, best picture or most voted on picture. That's a great way to get people to come to your person or your business Instagram or Facebook, for example. Offering the durable goods like the branded wine glasses or the t-shirts, you can do that. You can also do gift cards that people can buy and use now, or they can buy and give to other people. We will come out of this, guys. We are going to persevere. So encouraging people to buy now and giving them an extra 20% on that gift card that they can spend is a great way to earn that loyalty. Free recipe card downloads where you can then build your mailing list if you don't have one already or you're looking to build it, which is really important because you want to communicate with your customers right now. Giving them a recipe of some of your popular dishes, they're going to come to you. They're still going to buy that dish from your restaurant, but if they can duplicate it at home and share it with their friends, trust me, that goes a long way. I've done that many times where I've willingly given out my recipes, even the things that I have in my book. I have a book to sell. It's called Eat Like You Give a Fork, The Real Dish on Eating to Thrive. But I love to be able to share those recipes in social media posts because I want people to make them at home and remember me. You can offer a free cupcake like you would normally in your establishment, but just let people know about it, that they can get a special birthday treat. And why not add a little personalized card? Writing somebody's name on a card and letting them know that you're wishing them a happy birthday. Let me tell you, that is a special thing. Whenever I've been at a hotel or gone to an establishment, a restaurant where we go for a special occasion and they actually write your name down with greetings from the people that are serving you and it's signed by them, man, I will never ever forget that. And then Groupon deals. Groupon deals are a way to get, like, if you have a new establishment or if you have a special offer that you are okay with just spreading that in a big way, look to Groupon right now. We've actually looked up a few deals on Groupon and taken advantage of those. And especially if you have a new establishment and you're trying to get the word out. Just like we've seen some of the big companies out there and not so big companies and even individuals give back. I think it's something that we can all do, small and large gestures. Feeding the community with a buy one, share one, where for every meal that is purchased, you might share one and align with United Way or another organization that's local to your area. You can use your establishment in off hours to prepare foods for a local food bank or pantry. You can use your space like Starbucks is doing to make added supplies like masks and of course, you know, this is something that is unprecedented, where we're seeing such a shortage of masks and little, you know, little supplies that we would normally take for granted, like gloves. If you have a stockpile of gloves, that might be something that you can gift too. Temporarily or maybe permanently increasing your employees' pay. And again, I'm very understanding of different situations, and you may just be saying, Maria, I can barely make payroll right now. I get it. But if you are in a position where you can do this, imagine what a couple of extra dollars could do. People are feeling very anxious, and as a mom of 5 kids right now with my married life, 5 kids that are in school that are bored out of their minds, or maybe a mom who has young kids who are at home and she doesn't have the ability to have childcare. You know, that makes a big difference. And so if you can do that even temporarily, I think that would go a really long way. And then certainly providing your employees with supplies like masks and gloves for their home use. It's a small gesture, but it makes a big difference. And if you're not offering a staff meal right now, please think about doing that, and maybe just sending people home with their meals so that they can share it with their families as well. And very importantly, share your message. Nobody will know unless you let them know. So if you don't have a strong social media presence right now, now is the time to work on building it. Encouraging that email list sign up by giving people something in exchange, whether it's a recipe, whether it's an invitation to join you for a Facebook Live to cook something, whether it's just a percentage off on a meal. There are a lot of different creative ways to get that message out right now, but an email list will create loyalty for life. Daily updates on social media with video clips using Instagram and Facebook Live. Like I mentioned, the algorithm for lives, pretty incredible what you can do to reach thousands, even millions. And so use the live feature. And if you don't know how to do this, I'd be happy to help you in a subsequent call. Just let me know. I've been doing Facebook Live since they allowed us to do it as civilians and non-celebrities. So it's been about 5 years or so now that I've been doing Facebook Lives, and I've had up to 4 million impressions on one video. So it's pretty amazing what you can do to garner some attention with a free vehicle like that. Showing the real behind the scenes story, again, a way to endear people to who you are. Many of you have family businesses with a really incredible story. Show your story, share that, show pictures. You know, people want to see who the real you are, who the real you is. And don't forget to hashtag some of the very popular hashtags right now that people are searching by. Restaurant strong, restaurant recovery, open for delivery, and the great American takeout. I want to leave you with this beautiful little piece of inspiration. This lovely woman, this beautiful nonna means grandma, maybe she's a great grandma, she probably is, in Italy, 102, after spending 20 days in the hospital, recovers from COVID-19 and gets to celebrate her birthday. This is everything. And this is the story of us in our community, in our joining together as citizens of humanity. It's the little things that can go a really long way. You may be in the process of applying for an SBA loan. You may be, you know, you may have just started a business and wondering how you're going to keep the doors open. You may be delivering right now, but you're down 50%. I get it. But hopefully you've gotten some inspiration here. Maybe one of these ideas clicks, and if it does, I would love to hear about it. And I'd love to keep the communication going. You're awesome. Let's connect. You can find out more about my business at growgreenindustries.com or our consumer-facing site at eatcleaner.com. Join me on Instagram and Facebook at eatcleaner. And of course, feel free to email me and ask anything at maria@eatcleaner.com. And I really thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing your ideas. This was really uplifting and inspiring, and it was really great to see the creativity is persevering in this industry and seeing, you know, what people are doing everywhere in the United States, and as you said, to help build us up. I just wanted to say quickly to everyone before we go to questions, we do have several questions that have come in. As we receive the content and information from our industry experts, partners, associations, and more, our team is continuously updating our industry resource page, which can be found at foodandbevshows.com. We're doing our best to help you stay educated and connected within this rapidly changing environment. And we do have more webinars planned for the next month, which we do invite you to join us for. Maria will be with us again on April 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She will be discussing how to stock up a healthy pantry, mix and patch ingredients, because we all know going to the grocery store is a bit tough right now. So she will show us how to set up your kitchen for healthy, delicious meals to last all week long. So again, let's get started, Maria, with some questions we have here. The first one we have, are there any new food safety rules around providing meal kits?
From what I've seen, the most updated is really just making sure that everything is sealed properly. If you're doing a meal kit and you're doing it in a boxed container, for example, if you're doing a clamshell, it's always a good idea to do another like layer so that the clamshell doesn't open. But sealing is critical. And just like I mentioned with the cups, you want to make sure that if you're doing a to-go cup, that there isn't a straw hole. So it needs to be something that can seal it without having the ability to, you know, break open if it's being delivered. Now, if people are coming into your establishment and grabbing a cup, certainly that's, you know, you can continue to use the lids that you have. And, you know, that it's more about delivery than anything. So making sure that nothing has come into contact with it or contaminated it in the process of it getting to your home.
Okay, great, Maria, thank you. This is actually a great next question. With the holidays coming up next week, both Passover and Easter, any ideas on how restaurants can offer new items to their menus?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Life certainly hasn't stopped. And I think, you know, while gatherings may be much smaller, people still want to have a beautiful meal. So I would think about, you know, if it's a family tradition of yours that you want to share with customers, you know, curate a menu that is around your own family traditions. What you would serve your own family would be a great idea. You know, take a look at what is popular right now. I think, you know, flavors from all over the world are becoming part of our everyday palate. So maybe being inspired by other countries, maybe even, you know, Italy is really hurting right now. And I think, you know, there are certainly a lot of other countries that are really hurting right now too, but maybe being inspired by what, you know, what a traditional menu in Italy might look like. I don't know. I think we can be creative though in doing that and give people what they need in an all-in-one package. And you know, think about this. People are eating leftovers more than ever right now. So it's okay if you make it so that it's a meal for 8, and you're feeding normally a family of 2 or 4. People are going to want those leftovers for the next day. So I would say you don't have to go too small in terms of portions. Like think event size, but you know, make it so that it's turnkey and easy for people to get everything they need at your establishment. They're not going to you for dinner and then going to a different place for dessert. They could get everything in one.
Great, thanks, Maria. I know I will definitely be missing my traditions, and if there was a restaurant that was able to have my tradition all in one, I would definitely be picking that up. So
Well,
that's
that's a good point. So that's where asking your customers is also a great opportunity. If you have an email list, why don't you give them a chance to weigh in? Maybe you give them a few different options, or maybe you just ask them on Instagram or Facebook to know, what if you could have this dish for Easter or Passover, what would it be? And take a survey of your own customers and invite your customers to share it with their friends and make it based on the feedback you get.
great. Thank
Crowdsourcing.
you. Yeah.
Crowdsource your menu.
I'm going to tie these there's two separate questions, but they tie in together. So I'm going to ask them at the same time. What is the best site to look at for the latest information, like what states you are allowed to serve alcohol curbside? And to follow up on that, any suggestions on the best ways to deliver beverages?
That is a really good question. I will have to look into seeing what it is at your local state level, but I imagine if you simply just Google, state COVID-19 laws or, rules for serving alcohol, something will come up for you, but we can follow up with a better answer for you on that. In terms of getting it, home to somebody, I think in a cup that has just a lid with no straw, you could, I don't love styrofoam. It's not sustainable or good for the environment. So try and do something that's a little bit heavier, but something that can also withstand travel, because sometimes the biodegradable material is not as sturdy. And it might require you just working with your supplier to see if they have a little bit of a sturdier paper cup, for example, to deliver that in. If you don't mind the expense, you could brand some cups. You could get some pretty inexpensive plastic cups made, almost like, just like a plastic cup you would get at a stadium, and have your brand placed on there and serve it in that with the lid. That's another possibility.
Okay, great. Thanks, Maria. I think we're actually at our last question from the audience here. The next question we have, there's a lot of conversation about people wearing masks. Do you think all restaurant employees should be wearing masks now?
I do. I think that, not only are we safeguarding our customers, we're safeguarding our employees. And let's face it, for those of us who have worked in restaurants, it's very hard to stay 6 feet away from each other. It's nearly impossible unless you have a ginormous kitchen. So if saliva and coughing and sneezing, and we know how highly contagious this is, if we can get each other sick easily, why not take that extra safeguard? And if you're having a hard time finding masks, there are a lot of great ideas for homemade masks right now, cloth masks. They're saying even a bandana is better than nothing. So taking in the effort to do that, taking the effort and making sure that people are not putting their hands on anything without gloves is important, and changing those gloves out. I will share a story. I went to go get something, and the person at checkout didn't have gloves on, and she was handling money. Money is very dirty. Money is very dirty no matter what season we're in. And so it's critical that the people that you have on the front line too, maybe they don't have their hands in food, but they're interacting with customers. They're touching a lot of different surfaces, that you're protecting them as well, and making sure that they're changing their gloves and washing their hands vigilantly. And if it slows down the rate of service, so be it. Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, those are all really great points. Thanks, Maria, so much. Before I say goodbye to everyone, I don't know if you could flip up to your contact page really quick, just to let everyone see that. And I do want to remind everyone that we will be sending a copy of the PowerPoint and also the recording of the webinar to everyone, and it will be made available on our foodandbevshows.com site. So again, thank you so much, Maria, for all of your expertise, and I hope everyone can join us with Maria and I on April 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do appreciate your continued support of the Clarion Events Food and Beverage Group, and I hope everyone is staying healthy and safe during this difficult time. Till next time, have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.